We're recording.
All right, welcome to another episode of Drop Third Strike with myself, Terry Gant, Chicago, Illinois, and my podcast partner, Beth Davies Stopka in Denver, Colorado.
Oh my
Hello,
God,
Beth.
Terry, hi. Oh my God. So there's so many things I want to say to you and then hear what you say back to me.
Okay.
Like a free association thing. And the first one is Mariners.
All right. Mariners. Well, I mean, not going to win the West. Like the most fun middle of the road like AL team you could possibly have right now, I suppose.
Totally.
Currently sitting at 5.5 games back. You know what I mean? Like at 5.5 games back, you're not making up 5.5 games when you're. I'm a little stunned at the tide with Oakland. I guess that's the best thing I can. I'm surprised they're tied with Oakland because Oakland is perceived as a good team, right? Mm-hmm. The Astros lead the division, and Seattle's actually tied with them, basically being like Seattle even better than they've basically played. You know what I mean? Like they've a lot of the year for Seattle has been like, you're gonna finish fourth, just deal with it, you know. Yeah. But to kind of be in third, like with in a tie with Oakland, who's also effectively in third, you know, or second. I don't know how ties get calculated like that, but they're both like 2 games back of the wild card. Like that's pretty damn good for Seattle there.
Yes.
And I wanna believe you can beat Oakland out for that wild card, but Oakland, maybe they play more consistently, like their level of play is more consistent than Seattle. I guess I don't somehow I don't feel super confident about Seattle so much as I feel about Oakland, but I'd rather it be Seattle.
Okay, so I wish I knew everything about baseball all the time, like where I could just tell you something and it would be true. But I'm going to guess, though, that what is going on there is that Oakland was winning more games at the start of the season.
Yes.
And so that Seattle's made up a lot of ground.
Yes.
But they had too much ground to make up. And
like, surprisingly, they've made up a lot of ground. Like they didn't reel off like, they weren't like, 18-game win streaks or anything like that. But guys like Kyle Seager has just been so good in the second half.
Yeah.
That I think this is a large part of what's been lifting Seattle up. One player putting a team on his back. Yep.
Well, somehow or other, it's so weird because I feel like the best I can say about the Mariners is that they don't suck.
No, yeah.
The other hand, they've kind of become must-see TV for me. With a caveat. So since we last talked, I've discovered a new and wonderful way to consume baseball, and that's through the MLB TV app.
Okay.
And I think it's just MLB.com, but then if you're like subscribed to MLB TV, which I am, then you have all this other stuff you can do.
Okay.
And so I didn't know this because I just discovered this. Never mind why I didn't know. I just discovered in the last month or so that if you press, for those of you who have the app and don't know this, Legion of Fan, if you select the little headphones icon up in the top right, you can listen to live radio broadcasts of the games.
Oh, cool.
Now, I've known this for a long time. And like the first year that the Brewers were in the postseason, was it maybe 2017, 2018, the first time in forever that the Brewers were in the postseason. And I was on long walks at the local park and listening to Bob Uecker on the radio because he was still doing radio for the Brewers. So I knew about this, but what I didn't know is that they archive these for a period of time. And so when I go to bed, I can choose any game I want and I can listen to the radio broadcast.
Wait, so you're listening to previously broadcast games?
Yep.
The radio broadcast of them before bed?
Yep. Just of that day. Yeah, I know, right? Well, all night long, I'm listening to it all night long.
Is there a way in which you can pipe in the smell of like hot dogs and like mustard and onions?
I could probably
into your bedroom.
I could probably just like cook them and just hang around on the sofa instead of like right, and just like munch on hot dogs and eat popcorn and listen to the radio. It's amazing. And I could if there were hours in the day or at night, I could listen to all the games. But it is so cool because most American adults, I do have some sleep issues. They aren't as bad at all as they used to be, but I wake up a lot at night and I don't mind because the game's on. Oh, it is so cool. Okay, so it's only for that day, obviously, because they overwrite them. They have to. How could you possibly?
You're not saving them all, yeah.
But now when I go to bed at night, I'm all excited. I got my phone out and I'm like, okay, what game am I going to listen to? And I can listen to any game I want. And it's getting to the point now where I'm looking at the headlines. I'm like, oh, that's the game I'm going to listen to when I go to bed. And then the best part of it, because I got to add this in there, is that they also broadcast the post-game show. So if you watch it on the TV, like the second that they record the final out or something like that, it just goes like, thank you for watching.
Yeah.
But on the radio, they play the whole post-game show, so you can listen to all the radio guys talking about who did what in the game and why and what's going on. And the radio guys are so much more fun because they have to paint these really vivid pictures because you can't see it. They have to keep the emotion alive, because you can't see it, right? They have to put the game right in your mind and in your heart and just give you this visual of it. And they tell all the stories about the players, and I'm just having a ball. And I first started watching the Mariners in April because you like them. And I said, I'm going to look at the Mariners. And I ended up tuning in for Spencer Turnbull's no hitter. That was my first Mariners.
Sure. Yeah.
So my first Mariners game was to see them get no hit.
Right.
Well, it looks like the team to watch here is the Tigers.
They might have gotten no hit like 3 times this year. This is my problem with the Mariners. It's like, damn it. Like, this is where the confidence thing comes. Like, you guys get no hit a lot. But then when you do hit, like you hit a crap ton of homers and doubles, like all right. But if you're not swinging the bat well, you're gonna have a bad day.
Yeah, a very, very bad day. Yeah, well. So anyway, I've really gotten fond of the Mariners because first I was paying attention to them, but then I found out how good their broadcasters are. I mean, I don't even know their names. I would give them all the credit in the world by name, but I don't know their names. But I love listening to those guys get me through a game. I love it. And I might fall asleep for 4 or 5 innings and wake up. And like, so this happened last night, right? Because I start the game, I fall asleep, and then I wake up and it's 7-2. No, it wasn't. It was the D-backs hadn't gone up like 5 runs in an inning yet. That was I got to listen to that. And I thought, okay, Mariners, you go down there and you like beat Houston up. It was incredible. Who knew you guys could beat the Astros? And you did. Right. But then the D-backs come to your hometown and you can't like beat the D-backs. But I know you can't win every game, but to lose 7-2 to the D-backs was kind of like, even if you got a wild card, you wouldn't last 4 innings, Yes. Whereas Oakland could probably last, 6-7 innings in a wild card game, right? Maybe even 8. So that's the difference between the two teams, I would say, is what they could pull off in a wild card. I don't know if they could win. So
right,
that
looks like for Mariners broadcasting, for the radio, the primary radio voice is a guy named Rick Riz.
Oh, he's great.
And then there's Dave Sims.
Okay, so those are the guys I've been going to bed to every night that the Rays play for the last couple of weeks, and I love them. I love them. And there's other broadcasters too. I love the Rays broadcasters. I will totally make time to listen to those guys because it's so worth it. They make it so exciting. Of course, the Rays play a lot of exciting games, so a lot of their work's done for them. The New York Yankees team is just phenomenal. I know much was made out of John Sterling's new co-host being a woman, but it's like they're both New Yorkers, and it's a hoot to listen to them and to just be kind of like dryly sarcastic and to the point at all times. Plus the John Sterling being so excited about the Yankees all the time. It's great. Right. There are other broadcast teams, but I'm just having a ball, and I strongly recommend to Legion of Fan, just pay the money and listen to baseball. And Bob Uecker still shows up for the Brewers. I think on Wednesdays I've heard him during the day games, but he leaves after the 5th or 6th inning. He doesn't stay. Okay. Yeah. So it's a ball. Now I listen to it in the car. I never have to not be in touch with baseball. The postseason's going to be really hard on me, Terry.
So Beth, you had a list of things you wanted to
I did, and I don't know where my phone. Oh no, I don't need my phone. I have messages on my computer here. Where are you? Well, Mariners was my first thing I wanted to say to you.
Okay.
The next thing I wanted to say to you, Terry, is American League East.
Oh, oh my God, the AL East. Okay, yeah. This is like if baseball weren't played in the diamond and were instead played like a gladiatorial arena,
Yeah.
like because no one wants to lose the AL East, right? That's what's happening here.
Right.
Like it is funny because the AL East is Tampa Bay basically running away with it, right?
Right.
The Yankees started getting hot and then not, and
Right.
Boston being hot, and then now they're 9 games back. Like
Right.
that is weird. Like how in the hell did this happen, Boston? Like I get that Toronto wasn't really in it, and we know damn well that Baltimore wasn't in it. Baltimore was like 40. I'm looking now, 43 games up.
Oh.
43 games up. Whoever Baltimore's first round picks are for the next 2 seasons is going to be stellar. They're going to be amazing. They're going to draft like 9 Mike Trouts.
Yeah.
It's so bad. But like this season had Boston just killing it, and New York just kind of trying to figure a thing out. But New York has had like all these COVID issues and various other problems happening there, and so did Boston. I think this is kind of why it is that you have like now finally we're 2 weeks away from the end of the season, maybe 3, and Tampa's clearly 9 games up, and they're 9 games up because as an NFL coach said, I think it was the coach in New England said the best ability is availability.
Ooh.
Right. And I just don't hear a whole lot of talk about Tampa Bay guys coming down with COVID.
Nope.
But Boston and New York can't seem to get away from it.
I know. Didn't it just like feel like, I mean, I'm not a Red Sox fan in the sense that there's that Red Sox nation. You know, I mean, I was enjoying the Red Sox on a hot streak, and the Rays Red Sox games. There were like a lot of Rays Red Sox games in August. And they were so exciting. They were so tense, and they could go either way. And, but, you know, he's like, you know, you never know who's going to play for the Red Sox on one day to the next, and you never know what's going on. And if they probably don't either, because, you know, COVID, and they get Chris Sale back, and like he has an immaculate inning, his, you know, his 3rd inning, his first, and then like, boom, he's gone.
Right.
Like some kind of weird magician's trick. Now you see him, now you don't, you know, and I just, wow, Red Sox. And it made me wonder if anybody is looking back on this and kicking themselves that they didn't make vaccination mandatory. I don't think they could, but
you know who else is kind of in a weird sort of way, like who this is sort of benefiting? Think about the Mariners again, right? Like with the Red Sox and the Yankees being 9 and 10 games back, when you look at the wild card, the AL, right? It's like Boston's got that wild card, right? But like, how many wild cards are there? Are we at 1 wild card, 2 wild cards? I think
we're at 2.
We're at 2 wild cards. Yeah. We're at 2 wild cards. That second wild card is going to be tight.
Yep, it is, and it's going to be so exciting from now until then, because it's going to be. I mean, unless some other team that is like harboring a big COVID infection.
Right. You know, well, like if Toronto has a big, let's say it happens in Toronto, because right now they're the second wild card. If Toronto's the second wild card, or like, well, it's the Yankees technically and Toronto are tied at second wild card. But then right after that, it's the tie between the A's and the Mariners.
Terry, don't you think that, okay, so I'm just imagining here, and I could be wrong, so you're the logical one. Don't you think that if Toronto had a COVID outbreak and they were in Toronto when it happened, they would not be allowed to cross the border?
They would, it would be a disaster. Yes.
It would be a disaster, because that would like causes collapse all throughout. Because all the games matter to all the games, right? Right. You know, I mean, there's some games maybe left that don't matter, right? Like if Arizona and Baltimore are playing at any point in September, right, that wouldn't matter. But everything would fall apart from, like, you know, the top 15 teams.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to guess that whether they liked it or not, the Blue Jays went and got vaccinated.
But like, I have not seen an announcement. Like, I would imagine the minute they were allowed to even go back to Toronto, they would have had to say mandatory vaccination for everybody. I would have imagined that would have been the case, but I didn't hear that, right? Yeah. But like the fact that the AL East is like COVID ravaged between Boston and New York, right? Like, you would have to think someone said, "All right, get your heads out of your asses, go get it done already." Yeah. You know? Yeah. Because they're close. Like that's a horrible thing that you're gonna have to deal with if you screw this up, you know. Oh, horrible. If so, I don't know if you remember this, but I think definitely at the beginning of this season, and I think also during last postseason,
we were talking about the AL East, and we were fantasizing about an AL East that is not dominated by New York, Boston.
Right.
We wanted an AL East that was dominated by Tampa, Toronto.
Absolutely.
And we're very close to having that.
You're about to have it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, I think personally, not that
Tampa's team of no-name like overachievers is once again the class of division.
Yep.
Right? And basically Toronto just has to be healthy.
Yes.
Right. A healthy is not even a COVID. It's not even a COVID thing. It's just a health thing. Toronto being healthy overall.
Yep.
Right. Makes them a much better team. And then like Boston and the Yankees have a problem.
Yep. I think Toronto can win the wild card.
I agree.
Yeah.
They really can.
They really can. You know, I don't know if they could actually there are a lot of American League teams that they could beat in the postseason too. There are a lot of teams that Toronto could beat. Oh yeah. They if they just keep having fun and nobody gets COVID.
Also next year, if Toronto, like right now, they've got Robbie Ray, like a Cy Young candidate, which, you know, I didn't necessarily think that was going to be a thing that I'd ever be saying, but like next year, one more pitcher of that level means that you're not, at this point, you're not 10 or 11 games back. You might, if you're back, you might be 4 games back, right? Like it's that's how good Toronto is. So good, they might legit be one great starting pitcher away from just changing the entire thing around and being at the top of the division for the entire year.
Yes, I think so. I really
George Springer healthy for an entire year. That would get you another 4 games. Yeah.
Yep. If they had George Springer all year, we wouldn't be waiting for them to win the wild card. They would have already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really think so, just based on how he's done when he's been there.
When Springer's in that lineup, it's an entirely like different situation.
Yeah.
Like they're up 2 runs by the 3rd inning.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I know. And I didn't think that the Berrios acquisition was necessarily, you know, such a big deal, just because I've been following the Twins so closely for the last few years. I'm like, that dude struggles, but you got him out of Minnesota and you put him in Toronto, and he's really good.
Yep.
He's fulfilling his promise. That was a great pickup, right? And and I'm sure Marcus Stroman wishes he were still there.
There's times. Absolutely. Yes. There's got to be times.
That's not fair. I do not know the mentality of a baseball player, because what it takes to do what they do, you know, they have to have a mentality that the rest of us don't know or understand. Sure. I really believe that, but I think that, you know, it would just be only human to sometimes look at a team that's having a lot of fun.
I wonder if Marcus Stroman thinks about it like, at least in Toronto, he was on a baseball team. Now he's kind of in a circus.
Yes.
Right. And sometimes you just want to go, look, the way he pitches like it's all business when he pitches. There's a lot of fire in Marcus Stroman when he pitches.
Yes.
And the circus is fine when you're winning. Yes. Right. When you're losing, the circus is no fun.
Right.
Right. When that happens, the crowd will attack you. You know, you don't want that.
Yes. Okay. So let's skip ahead on the list and let's do thumbs down, because we're in a great place to do that. Okay. Let's do thumbs down, because I'm wondering about, well, I want to know what you're wondering about, but what I'm wondering about, I really want to know what you're wondering about. You go first, and then I'll tell you what I'm wondering about.
So in the season, my thumbs down?
No, in the Mets. In the Mets.
Oh, in the Mets. Yeah. So my problem with the damn Mets. So a lot of my issue with, remember at the beginning of the season, I was saying, man, this is a lot of like disparate pieces to pull together that individually look successful, but how are they going to function as a group? And I think that it's kind of borne out, right? Like you have a lot of talent there that plays baseball like they think they're 2 runs up by the 1st inning, but they're not actually 2 runs up yet, right? And when you can't count on deGrom to stay healthy the entire year, right? Like that pitching staff has to they got to be shut down pitchers. They got to all be shut down pitchers, and they're not, right? Which led to my question about deGrom. Like I have an idea for Jacob deGrom that maybe Jacob deGrom will probably hate, and Jacob deGrom lovers will probably hate, which is I honestly think Jacob deGrom should give up being a starting pitcher for a year or so and go to the bullpen and be a closer. Because Jacob deGrom is not going to survive, right? Being out, having to go out there when you have to, for the Mets to win, Jacob deGrom has to have an ERA of 1 for the entire season.
Yes.
Right? And that's just not possible. right? He can't do it. He can't last. It's not only that can he not have an ERA of 1, he can't last the season trying to do it. So if you're shutting Jacob deGrom down, and here we are like, hold on, let me do the wild card for the NL, right? When I'm looking at the NL and my division leaders, my division leader is Atlanta, who lost Ronald Acuna, right? They're still division leader. The Mets are like 16 games, well, that's it, 4 games. They're 4 games out of the wild card. Like, you're 4 games out of the wild card. You're not going to make those 4 games up with St. Louis playing well, Cincinnati playing well, and Philadelphia playing well. It's not going to happen, right? So, like, you can't have Jacob deGrom, right? You need Jacob deGrom for a postseason. And I feel like the only way to get that done is for Jacob deGrom to have a healthy arm, a healthy body, right? And to stop having to do what he's doing, which is to literally be like Miracle Man. He's got to be Superman.
He does.
On a pitching mound, right? And the same thing Steven Strasburg had to do for a while, right? And their bodies can't take it.
Right.
There's something about how they're doing it. I wonder if they shouldn't just do what John Smoltz did, which was take some time off from being a starter. Now, Smoltz, when he went in, I don't know how hard he fought the idea of becoming a closer, but as a closer, he was also dominant, is what I remember.
Yes.
Being a dominant starter, and he became a dominant closer, and he went back to being a dominant starter. And I think that deGrom and Strasburg, this might be a thing that they ought to just think about doing, right? Because at some point, they're not going to finish seasons. Like, I don't see that happen. I don't see this being better for them next year. They're not going to finish seasons. At some point, people don't have to worry about hitting them. They just wait them out.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to put, we can put the salary discussion off until the postseason. So everybody stay tuned. We're going to have a salary discussion, but but I'm trying to put myself in their heads, because obviously if I were achieving a level that high, I would care a lot about my legacy. I mean, I would care a lot, right? And Steven Strasburg is maybe in a position where he could say, yeah, all right, so if my team is contending, which they're not,
right,
then that would be a role for me, because we're going to get to a trophy.
Yes.
With me in that position.
Yes.
But there's no incentive for Steven Strasburg to do that right now.
As closers aren't making the kind of money that starting pitchers are making, right? So for the level of money going around for free agents,
right?
Even for pitchers that don't even seem to be able to last to the end of the season, right?
Well,
Crazy money. There's crazy money being thrown about. Not everybody's turns out to be as durable as Max Scherzer.
Yeah.
That's what you're paying for. You're paying for Max Scherzer, but you're not getting Max Scherzer.
Exactly.
Right? You're getting 3/4 of Max Scherzer. So when it comes to postseason performance, you're not even in the postseason.
Right.
Right. But I think that if you're the pitching ability of Strasburg and of deGrom, that game is over in the 6th inning.
Yeah.
If you haven't beaten their team by the 6th inning, you're not winning.
That's true.
Like, that to me is, I think that's the game changer. And I think they might want to really consider how much is left, what the toll is on their bodies being starters pitching the way they pitch. Because it's either that or you fire some pitching coaches. Because to me, we could talk all day about how good the White Sox are and who the White Sox MVP is. Mm-hmm. But in my opinion, the White Sox MVP is Ethan Katz, the pitching coach.
Yeah.
Right? Because that dude got something out of Carlos Rodon when I wasn't sure anybody could. He reclaimed Carlos Rodon to put that dude in the Cy Young conversation. Right. That I think is critical for these guys. And right now these pitching staffs are going out there looking at deGrom and looking at Strasburg and going, you're the top. Like, Strasburg was number 2 behind Scherzer, right? Right. And if Scherzer had a great day, the next guy coming up is Strasburg, and Strasburg has a great day, fine. But when August comes around, we're shutting Strasburg down. Yes, over and over again. I know. But so is Strasburg a free agent after this season? I think somehow I thought he might have been. There is something about Strasburg's contract. The other thing about my new computer here is I can open up multiple tabs and not have my computer shut down. Hey.
Hey, that's a great step forward.
You can find our next our topic while I look up.
Oh,
Strasburg.
okay. Well, yeah, well, while we're thinking about Strasburg and deGrom as free agents, which is really good idea, because they are going to get signed by contenders if they are indeed in free agency. They're not.
They really are.
They're not going to sign. I mean, well, unless they are Scherzer, who signed with the Nationals when he was a free agent, and the Nationals were just like, like a mafia. They were nothing.
Right.
And then they won a World Series. So Scherzer was a
Right.
big sign for them. And so there could be a situation like that, right? Where deGrom signs with the D-backs or something like that. And then in 4 years, they're World Series champions or what have you, right? That could happen. But for the most part, I think, especially like you said, with the money being thrown around and with the thirst for victory, and especially for deGrom and Strasburg, both understanding that they aren't, like, I would know that about myself if I were one of those guys. I would say, for whatever reason, I am not that durable, so I want my trophy now. And Strasburg's won, but deGrom hasn't, right?
Right.
So if LA came sniffing around me, if Toronto came sniffing around me,
San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego came sniffing around me, I'd sign in a heartbeat, because I would see myself as a World Series champion in no time, in which case I would happily be a closer. But otherwise, one might stubbornly want to remain starter.
Strasburg is signed through 2026.
Yeah.
He is a 7-year, $245 million deal.
I thought so. I thought he might have already re-upped with the Nats.
He re-upped, and now he's on the 60-day DL.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought
like how does that work out financially, right? Like that is devastating.
Well, yes and no, because he's already won a World Series.
He has.
He personally has time to play this out, and the Nationals have time to play this out. So I was watching the Nationals
because they have time to rebuild. Because they're going into a rebuild.
Ever since they traded away every single person except Soto, and Josh Bell stayed behind to keep him company, right?
Yes.
Ever since they traded everybody away but Soto, and they have been floating these guys out, see what they look like, and they have a lot of really good guys. And so I think his name is Jason Lane, was starting for them today, and his on base, his batting average is like 309 since he came up, but his OPS is like 918, and he's their leadoff hitter. Yeah. They've got good talent. So I'm sure that this is something Strasburg thought about, and maybe
Jacob deGrom, on the other hand,
yes,
is only signed through 2023.
Yes, so he can think about
with a team option 2024. Yeah,
he can think about it.
Yeah,
or he can start a very, very strong campaign to get traded. Yeah. I don't know. One of the things that I thought it might be interesting to hear your take on, and this is specifically about the literal thumbs down issue in New York.
And when the fans, I forgot that even happened. The fans thumbs down New York, and then Javi Baez thumbs down the fans, which is again the most Javi Baez thing.
Yep.
This isn't the first time this happened in Chicago.
Yep.
Like, Javi doesn't like getting negative response from the fan base, because Javi just responds to all that shit, because Javi's never been mature enough to just walk off the field.
Right. But Lindor joined in.
Yeah.
That was surprising. I was, having lived in New York and having been a baseball fan and having learned baseball in New York, I'm not a New Yorker by any stretch of the imagination. I just happened to live there. But that is the weirdest relationship. I don't know if football and basketball have the same relationship with their fans, but the relationship between the fans and the team in New York is really, really weird, because the fans basically are abusive.
Yes. And
not all of them, but I mean,
they're entitled.
Abusers are very loud.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of quiet
they feel a sense of entitlement. Yeah. And some other fan bases have this problem too. I always mention Philadelphia being terrible.
Oh yeah. Well, I just watched. I went to these games. Now I watch these games and I listen to the fans boo the players, and I think this is so weird, because then the players are like, well, I really appreciate that. They didn't boo me if they didn't expect more, blah, blah, blah. Well, they got coached to say that stuff, right? I couldn't handle it. And you see really talented players just steering away from New York because they didn't want to deal with it.
Right.
It's a weird relationship, but it is what it is. We don't get to criticize other people's relationships, but this thumbs down thing, I was wondering if it wasn't coming from sort of a more worrying place. And this speaks to the deGrom issue, the pure toxicity that is the New York Mets. It's disturbing. It's really disturbing. And it came home to me hard on Thursday, I think it was, because I work for a college that's in Albany. And so as a result of that, I have to have the mandatory sexual harassment training that the state of New York puts out. So this isn't just, this is New York State's mandatory sexual harassment training. And that means that the sexual harassment training I got is the same that they're getting in the Mets organization. And you think about how, the hard hitting and really dedicated reporting of The Athletic had to expose the sickness that's in that organization.
Yes.
And even then they didn't do anything about it right away. It took them like weeks to respond. And this was after it went public. I mean, after there had already been complaints to the the New York State, relevant New York State offices that I got told about at my training. The training all tells you, oh, well, don't worry about it. If something like this happens, your next step is to go to human resources, and they have a system for dealing with this. Human resources at the Mets just humiliated any woman who said anything. And Stephen Cohen comes into this situation, into the Jared Porter situation. He's a face of it, but this was all over. I mean, and the director of human resources, it bothers me that she's even a woman and she was helping these harassers and not helping their victims.
Right.
This is really toxic. And I don't know if the players just like play in some bubble where they're never affected by any of this, but I have a hard time believing that now because of Twitter. You have to know what's going on. Does this just make somebody like, I know Javi was being Javi, but doesn't this make somebody like a little bit cynical? Like there's a point where it's just like, you people, is there a good person even here? You know what? You're gonna boo me, boo you. And I was sympathetic to him personally. I know he was roundly criticized. I didn't hear anybody stand up for him, but in my heart, I was thinking, you know what, man? Yeah.
I might go the other way, because I think that what's going on in the organization is something that was going on before Javi got there.
That's true.
Right? So Javi wasn't there when all of that started. And Lindor wasn't there when all that started either. Like Lindor just got there this year too. Right. Yeah. This is a long-standing situation for New York, for the New York Mets, right? Like I think that Javi, personally from his point of view, he just reacted the way Javi would tend to react in these situations. And Lindor probably knew better, but I think Lindor resorted to kind of like the hood mentality of, this is my boy. He's going through a thing right now. I'm gonna support my boy, right? Okay. I think he only agreed because it was Javi going through it. You know what I mean? If it was Dominic Smith or somebody like that, Lindor might not have had much to say. Right. But specifically because it was Javi Baez, I think Lindor wanted to support him. Right.
See, I can't see Dominic Smith doing it. I can see him wanting to, but I can't see him actually doing it.
I can't see very many people I can see a baseball player in general at some point being frustrated enough with a annoying ass entitled fan base to respond when they're being kind of crappy to you. Yeah. Right? Because this isn't like this has happened before. Right? In this sport and in other sports, it's happened that athletes are just people, right? And on some level, they're going to respond to you. Right. Because I also think that it isn't just that Javi Baez got a thumbs down. Because I know New York fans didn't just boo the team. They said some things. Yeah. There's things these players heard, right, while on the field that were beyond the pale. And then they got, that was the response. It was a response to all of that, I bet, right? And that's where Javi's coming from. Now, for what the organization's going through, these players, I'm going to give them a lot of credit because they're out there. They're trying to bust their ass. Some of these guys are new to the team. It's a new ownership group building a new team. Right, while also finding out they're in all kinds of legal trouble, right? So I have to suspect that what you're gonna see is a whole lot of heads rolling because new ownership group didn't want to deal with any of this bullshit. But I'm not gonna give them; they're not getting a ton of credit in that. Some of the reasons why these things happen is because players themselves do this kind of shit, and it's what leads teams to covering up things.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
Front office guys pull some of this stuff because they know that the players are getting the rock star treatment, right? Where nothing they do is wrong ever, right? They're
Right.
treated like with a different set of rules. So then the guys in the suits want to be treated with the same. They want a piece of that,
Right.
right?
Right.
So you end up with like sometimes it's crappy dudes in suits who are being crappy, who are signing crappy players, right? But sometimes it's players are being allowed. There's so much permissiveness with what your players are doing,
Right.
that the people around them think this is the culture we have now.
Right.
Right? Like look at the situation that you had in Houston.
In
with the
Houston.
cheating scandal.
Yeah.
There was a cheating scandal in Houston that was the players having worked out a system for doing the cheating, but the system was effectively handed down by dudes in suits.
Yeah.
Right? And the whole time this is going on, yeah, the players are banging garbage cans or whatever they're doing and sending signals and all this, but the front office are doing the same thing, if not worse things, because when they won that World Series that time, that one guy got fired because he was absolutely over the moon about how their domestic violence player was awesome in the World Series.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He was championing the fact that they got the domestic violence guy and other teams didn't.
Yeah.
Right? So the players on the field are cheating at baseball, but the guys who sign the players on the field, who put the team together, are also kind of some creepy, horrible people.
Yes. Well, and that's kind of what I'm thinking, is that talk about creepy, horrible. I mean, we know about the Mets because it's been just exposed.
Right.
Maybe the other teams, they have these issues too, or maybe this was just really like the Mets were just, they needed to be exposed, right?
Yeah.
Jared Porter knew all about being exposed.
Absolutely.
But they needed it. But it's like if I was new, I got hired on a new job, and I walked in and the work environment was super toxic, but it wasn't necessarily in my department, and my boss was pretty cool and I was having a good time at work, but I'm at a place that's already just sick to the core.
Yep.
I'm going to feel it. There's going to be an effect. I might not even know what's going on, but I'm going to feel it.
There's
right?
going to be a point at which, while let's say you started this new job, you're a good person, right? You like your boss seems to be cool, but once you get there, you find out there's all this other stuff going on. Your department seems fine, but there's going to be a point at a holiday party. There's going to be a point where someone decides you're cool enough to be in on the group text.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's what ends up happening, right? At some point when no one's saying anything and no one's doing anything about it, it gets on you, because now you're in the group text when you didn't expect to be in the group text, and here comes the unsolicited photos that come across your phone, right? That you've now got to say something about, right? And you're going to say something about it, but they came to you because someone thought, aha, that's cool. Beth's been here 3 months. We know what Beth's all about. Beth's one of us.
Beth is trust me, Beth is not cool. Beth.
I tell people all the time, I do a baseball podcast with my emphasis friend, which is to say that there's no way in the world you want to add Beth to those group texts. If you got those, you got group chats going on, I can tell you right now, some of the things going on in group chats, you don't want Beth on. Beth will rat you out.
I'll do it for free.
Right.
Oh yeah, I mean, if there's that, they talk about the poor woman who wound up just leaving her profession as a sports writer because of the sexual harassment. I think it was Jared Porter. I mean, if I'd been there, she'd still be working and he would not be, and I would have made sure of that, right? But that's because I would have found out about it. If there was something where I just know that there's some kind of sickness there, I don't know what it is, I don't know where to pin it. It's my dream job. It's my job, and I think it would maybe impair my judgment, and especially if I were somewhat immature in judgment as it is, like Javi. I'm totally guessing here. I have no reason to think that, no actual reason to think that, working for the New York Mets made Javi and Francisco Lindor just a little more immature than they should have been. I can't say that for sure.
No, because in Chicago, this has happened already. There were times in which Chicago fans jumped on Javi Baez and the team for how they were performing after that World Series. And like Chicago fans have had to deal with a lot with the Cubs, like 108 years of losing, and then you finally win, and then you think you're going to win at least one more. And some of those periods of not winning, some of those losing streaks and swing, like some of the plate discipline issues and the base running issues and just some of the things that you watch out of that team that you would think they're all just too good for this. And sometimes the fan base has just had about enough. and had let Javi and these guys know it in games, and Javi responded to them then. So Lindor wasn't on the team, but he's on the team with Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo, right? Who are two adults, right? So it's in his makeup to just kind of go back to that schoolyard thing. Well, if they yell at me, I'm going to yell at them, right? And you kind of don't, you want to not respond, but if he couldn't handle it when the Chicago guys got on him, New York's going to be a bitch.
New York's going to be rough. Yeah. New York's rough. And it's, I just have to go back to, you can't, when it comes to the relationship between fans and their teams in New York, you just got to say, hey, it's your relationship. You guys work it out.
Yes. Like the fans love Javi Baez, and Javi Baez like turns a surefire, like bloop single out, like a routine ground ball out into like a double that scores a run, right? Like they love that, but they would also like to see the dude shorten up his swing and have a good two-strike approach. Yeah. Right? Like Javi Baez striking out 9 times in 3 games. Right. Is pretty bad to watch for a guy that's going to get paid what Javi Baez gets paid. And then Javi Baez hits a home run like in garbage time, and Javi Baez is like, look, I'm an MVP candidate. Yeah. Love me. And it's like, what the hell? No, like that's not how it works. He's lost 11 straight. The hell? They're literally going to trade the entire team. Like, and the whole goal here was we can't have the manager who was the manager that won the damn World Series because he was too friendly with you guys, right? So we replaced the manager with your buddy who played with you on that team and sat at the end of the bench. We gave you your friend as a manager. What the hell are you guys doing, right? So he goes to New York, and like this is what happens. And I think it literally happens there because Javi Baez doesn't understand that the hole in his game is him. He's the hole in his game. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's deep.
He wants to be the Wizard of Javi, right? Like it doesn't require, like the Wizard of Javi is the thing that will pop up once a month and win you a game. Yeah. Right? The Wizard of Javi it's not winning you a game every day. Right. And on that team, there's talent on that team. Like Pete Alonso is a hitter on that team. Like Dominic Smith is on that team. Like there's guys on that team who I love seeing play. Oh yeah. Right? But like you can't just say, look, didn't you see that great thing I did yesterday? Then the screw ups I make today, we shouldn't even be talking about those because yesterday I was awesome, wasn't I? You loved me yesterday. Why don't you love me today? Because today you sucked. Yep. You consistently do the sucky things, and then one day you do a great thing, and we're supposed to forget all the sucky things. Yeah. We're literally 11 games back because of how you do things. That's the problem. Yeah. Okay. That I'm glad I explored that with you because I totally get that now. Yeah. All of my speculations are worthless, but I figured they were. But it got no. I think you're onto something really interesting and kind of deep with the front office issues with the Mets and how that might trickle down to the field. Because my part of agreement there is I have not really seen it happen where the front office is rotten, but the team is fine. I've very rarely seen that. Usually when the front office is rotten, somewhere along the way, the team is rotten. Yeah. Right? The only thing we have to wait on here is this team has largely got a lot of new pieces in it. That's true, yeah. Right? It's got a lot of new pieces in it. And some of the guys who've been here a long time seem like good guys. I've heard nothing about them. They seem like really good guys. I can't believe that the guys that were already there are rotten. I just can't see. They just seem like really good guys. And Javi and Baez and Lindor seem like really good guys. And so Stroman seems like a really good guy. Like it all seems like it's a good team, but that's even like more frustrating. When it happens eventually that the Houston Astros have to be broken up. Yeah. When they have to start trading players and players are getting signed elsewhere, I really believe there's going to be some team that signs Jose Altuve just so that they can kick his ass. Yeah. So somebody's going to sign Jose Altuve, but there's going to be a day at training camp where the team just wants to be alone with Jose Altuve to get their pound of flesh on that guy because he's the most smug and unapologetic about that entire cheating situation. Like, George Springer was on that team. People love George Springer. Yeah. Carlos Correa was on that team. Somebody's going to welcome Carlos Correa with open arms. But Jose Altuve, they can't wait to meet that man in the parking lot. And they're going to be his teammates who are going to drag that dude for a minute, right? Like, people want him on their team just so they can get at him easy, right? He's like become the AJ Pierzynski of like fucking middle infielders, right?
Yeah, I don't get that because I get the whole. I mean, Jose Altuve seems like a kind of an innocent in the midst of, I don't know.
He
Just
was,
yeah.
but oh my God, yeah, the images of him where he hits a home run and it's a walk off and they're all trying to mob him at home plate and he's yelling at them, don't open up his shirt.
Oh.
Like that got caught on camera. Like he's giving them the like, don't, no, don't open up, don't take off my jersey, don't rip my jersey off because he's wired. Like there's stuff with this guy. Like he's the center. He's kind of the center of the cheating issue. Is Jose Altuve?
Oh, I see.
People are waiting to get they're waiting to meet Jose Altuve, like that scene in Airplane.
Yeah.
Where all those people trying to help that woman. They want to help her with her hysterics. There people want to help Jose Altuve in that way.
Yeah. Okay.
Upper management was rotten. Some players are rotten. Some of it, like some of the level to which people are still mad, I don't think they need to be, but I know they're not over it.
Right.
And that's kind of what you're gonna. That's a case where I know some of that trickled down the field, obviously, right? Yeah.
So okay, so I'm thinking that we have pretty much decided that deGrom, given the opportunity to get out of there, would.
Yes, I think yes. If deGrom gets the opportunity to go, deGrom's going.
Yeah. Unless Stroma could talk him into staying, probably a lot of those guys could talk him into staying. We'll see. We'll see. But
if they don't win a World Series next year, I think they're both gone.
Yeah.
Like this is kind of it. That's the reason they're there. They're there to win the World Series, and if they don't win the World Series, who's close enough?
Yeah.
That will be a better situation than playing in New York.
Yep. I think deGrom would opt to be a starter. I have a hard time seeing him want to become a closer.
I'm not even sure that Smoltz wanted to do it. I think he didn't want to, but like in order to pitch it and then save his arm and to recover, he had to do that.
Yeah.
As opposed to Strasburg, I think that's where Strasburg and deGrom might find themselves. They should consider it. I might be the only like quote unquote baseball analyst out here with this opinion, but a lot of my opinions leave me alone on an island. I'm okay with that.
No,
I'm fine with that.
I think you're right. I just don't know that deGrom would go for it. That's the difference. And I think Strasburg would, no problem, but he's already won the World Series.
Yes.
It's a different mentality. He's won the World Series as a starting pitcher, right? And that's the kind of thing the kind of decoration that deGrom doesn't have yet. And he's got to want it to be that good in that situation as many times as he has been, and consistently that good. He's got to want it. That drive has to be there. So that's the problem as I see it. And what they could do is any team could do with him like the Nationals did with Strasburg, which is to slow it down here and there. So he's never actually gone or shut down or seeing a surgeon, right? But that we know we're just going to slow it down here, but we're going to make sure he's there for the postseason. We are going to be in the postseason.
It also might be that thing we were talking about earlier in the year with deGrom and his mentality. Like this man is not angry at the situation he's in New York, and everybody else would be utterly fucking pissed. Like he is not angry at all. Something is off about this guy, right? He might be fine being a starter pitcher for the next 10 years doing exactly this thing. This being his way, he might be okay with it. It would drive anyone else nuts.
Well, like Mike Trout, just like sticking with the Angels for it's just completely inexplicable.
Yeah, I think he just likes playing baseball in that stadium, in that outfield, no matter what the standings are.
Yeah, just whatever. I like it here. So, maybe deGrom is the Mike Trout of pitchers.
Right.
I think we've solved deGrom. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens when his contract's up.
Right.
We'll see. So I have been wondering lately.
Mike Trout's a free agent in 2031.
Mike Trout's an Angel for life.
Oh my God.
Mike Trout's just an Angel, Yeah. I don't know if deGrom really wants to be a Met forever, a career Met. Would anybody want to be a career Met? I think a lot of the guys on the Mets right now would want to be career Mets. They seem to really care about their team. And they seem to really care about winning. I like those guys. Overall, I really like the Mets. Yeah.
I agree.
They're not, I don't think they're going to get a wild card.
Yeah, not without deGrom. Just don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it either. I turned on the Nationals Pirates game this morning just because I had not looked at the Nationals. I hadn't looked in on them for a few weeks, and I wanted to see what was new. And the first thing I heard was Bob Carpenter saying that there were only, including today, only 20 games left in the regular season. So right. Bob Carpenter broke my heart today because I don't want to see it come to an end. I'm really excited for the postseason, but Bob Carpenter broke my heart today. And you know, the wild card races are going to be very exciting where they're really bunched up, but I just have a hard time seeing the Mets just go on this surge and get up there. I don't know. I just think it's going to be, I don't understand the Giants. They just don't lose. There's like, the Giants are like this incredibly boring team with 648 winning percentage. It's really weird. Like they're boring because, you know, they're going to win. So why would I even get excited? Right. So so I don't know. It just seems to me like it's just going to be
the Giants feel to me like a rebuilding team that's winning a division.
Like what?
Like a rebuilding team that's winning a division.
Yeah, right. But I mean, like, they're winning baseball. I mean, the only team that can compete with them is the Rays.
Right.
I mean, they're just winning baseball. They're winning the game. They're winning the division. They're winning the league. They're winning everything. They just win, and it's the boringest thing I've ever seen. I mean, at least the Dodgers have had struggles. It makes them more exciting. You know, the Padres would have been more exciting if Nando had been healthy, but we didn't get to see him at shortstop, and that hurt their excitement factor. So the Dodgers have been exciting. The Giants are like dull as dishwater. The Rays are really exciting. So okay, so LA gets the first wild card. No problem. They're like 13.5 games up on the very next
15.
15 up. Okay.
Yeah, 15
well,
up.
I think we're going to see the Giants and the Dodgers at some point. Will the Dodgers beat the Giants? They could. They definitely could.
Remember, in a one-game playoff, so this is where San Diego's got to get its shit together, because like if it's San Diego and the Dodgers in a one-game playoff, San Diego must win. Right? You got to get the Scherzer, right?
Yeah.
In a must-win game.
Yeah.
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 That's must watch.
Yes. Well, yeah, you know, for me, if the Scherzer's pitching, the whole world stops and I sit down and I watch Scherzer pitch. That's I love him, and he's better in LA than I've ever seen him be. He's so exciting. That guy is such a good pitcher. It's ridiculous. I mean, that his last start, you know, because of course I have to listen to Oral Hershiser discuss Max Scherzer's skill, because Hershiser is, you know, brilliant. I realize he's not a Hall of Famer. I'm not sure why, but let's say he's, you know, a Hall of Famer who isn't there, who can break down Scherzer for us. And I also heard Pedro Martinez break down Scherzer for us. Wow. But I think since he got to the Dodgers, he's had like a 1.26 ERA, or
I think so. Yeah.
Just something that incredible. He broke some kind of, like his last start, he broke a record. I can't remember what it was, but he's like the 19th all time to do it. And nobody even commented because he's broken so many records. It was like the next one's those 3,000 Ks, and he's probably going to get there at his next start because only needs to do it. You know, and this is since moving to the Dodgers at the age of 37. He's better than what he is replacing. And the Dodgers have to be thrilled about that. It is must-see TV for me. And not this past start, but the one before that, they covered it on MLB Network with that show that CC Sabathia got going, where like the MLB Clubhouse and Sabathia and Pedro Martinez and one other guy were like watching the game and talking about it. And they kept saying it was so interesting that the reason Scherzer's so effective is because he throws his shoulders at you. You don't have a chance to see his arm. You don't have a chance to see the ball because all you see is Scherzer's shoulders. And I was like so stoked to hear that, because I just wasn't sure what the guy's magic was, you know. And oh wow, I love to see him pitch. So you're right at any point. And I don't know. I mean, I don't think that Buehler's dropped off. I know he's had a couple of rough starts, but Buehler, come on.
Yeah, come one game playoff time, it'll be fun.
Yeah. I mean, he's a go-to guy. So the Dodgers have such great stuff. They have such a great offense. Wow, they have a great offense. And they have such great pitching. And the series in San Francisco just really kind of surprised me, because the Dodgers just, you know, they seem like the Rock of Gibraltar or something, you know. I mean, they're almost featureless. and you throw things at them and they don't move. It's really, really weird. And so they're just standing in this wind place, and you throw everything you can at them. You throw hurricanes at them and they just stay in the wind place. So
Yep.
I don't know, man. It just seems to me like maybe we're looking at the Giants in the World Series. And I hope it doesn't mean that the World Series is boring because they're there. Who can get to the Giants?
The Giants are there. Well, like I feel like if it's in the NL, I'm not. The Giants have won a lot of games, but like I just see Milwaukee's freaking pitching staff being off. Like they're not going away. Like Atlanta's not doing what we thought Atlanta was going to do. Like it's a miracle that they're where they're at, right?
Yeah.
Great, fantastic. They're where they're at. That's a fine thing. They're on top of the division, so they at least have that going for them.
Right.
Right. But if Atlanta had to play the Dodgers, I'm going to pick the Dodgers. Right. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be one of those kind of things. Like if Atlanta had to pick the Padres, I might pick Atlanta. Right.
Yeah.
But if it came down to the Dodgers having to play San Francisco, I'm probably going to still pick the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe in the Giants. I don't see the Giants getting to the World Series. I see Milwaukee getting to the World Series. I can see Dodgers getting to the World Series. And if there's a scenario in which I can see the Padres getting to the World Series.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I buy Atlanta, and I'm not sure I buy San Francisco.
I'm not sure I buy San Diego. Just because it seems like they have just a couple holes that are just too gappy. Their gaps are too gappy. That's what it seems to me. Yeah. It's like, man, Blake Snell was really good today. Hope that lasts.
Hope it lasts. Yes.
Correct. Like that. Whereas Milwaukee's pitching is going to be good. You just know. Right? I mean, no doubt about it. Milwaukee's going to be good, and they're going to be formidable. And I'm so excited about the Brewers. I'm so excited about the Brewers. So don't get me wrong there. I think that I have seen a lot of seasons already where there is a team and they are just steadily at the absolute top. And then like in the wild card game, they're out, or prior to wild cards, maybe the first division series, they're out. And for some reason, being at the top like that all season long, the postseason rolls around and they're just gone. I don't know why. I don't know why, but it's not just the Giants. We've seen that with other teams. We've seen that in other seasons. We've seen that in other years. Being the best for, what is it, 5 months? 5 months, right? 6 months.
Pretty much.
6 months does not get you anywhere in the postseason, anywhere at all.
When the postseason comes, everything's different.
Yeah. And it gets you nothing. So there's that. So this means now that we really, really do have to talk about the White Sox. Because fan over here. One of the things I was thinking, and this is a broader question than just the White Sox, is that who is a great, because the answer is Tim Anderson. It's so obviously Tim Anderson, that thinking about all teams, who is a great clubhouse leader?
Yeah, Anderson and the Braves.
Yeah.
On the White Sox.
Yeah. What about
Anderson and the Braves?
You think it's Lorenzo Cain on the Brewers? Because I do.
You would hope so. Like he's been that kind of guy, right? Yeah. Like he just always has. And even though like on the field, his play isn't quite there, you know what I mean? Because he's just not. He's not the same guy he was.
Right. He's been around.
That's a thing. But that whole damn team are just guys who show up to play ball and they're having a great time doing it. Like I just don't know that it's like it is him, but I don't know that it has to be him on their team.
Yeah. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't need a guy. Well, same with the White Sox don't, but it seems to me that the Mets do. The Mets need a guy, and
yes,
it's not because they don't have a lot of quality guys in there. It just seems to be there just seems to need a guy or even like a team.
Yes.
Like Tim Anderson and Jose Abreu were like mom and dad or something, keeping it loose, but keeping it tight,
Yes.
And I don't know, like I was trying to think in terms of like all the other teams I was thinking about, I was thinking, is there any phenomenon like that other than the Anderson Abreu thing? Is there any other team where if we have a phenomenon like that? Like who keeps the Cubs together? I'm going to say that's David Ross. It's not a player, it's their manager, right?
Right. Right.
And I think that's definitely the case.
Or guys who like are still there, like Hayward and Contreras are still there.
Yep. If they want that role, right? Whereas the way that the Nationals, at least in the past, the World Series Nationals, the way they looked at Dave Martinez, I just felt like that's the guy. That's their guy. And I think Kevin Cash the same in Tampa Bay. is it Rojas?
Maybe it's Christian Yelich. Maybe Christian Yelich is your clubhouse guy.
I wonder. I would love to know that. He still seems so young to me. He just seems so young, but he's probably not anymore. He just
like this veteran. Colton Wong is a veteran. Eduardo Escobar is a veteran. Like there's veterans on the Brewers. Yeah. Right. But like they're also guys who aren't like the first names you think about when you think about all-stars, let's say, right? Like they're not. The Brewers are a good team together, but similar to the Giants, like who the hell are the Brewers? Right. There's no one where I hope some other team can sign this guy.
Yeah.
Half the guys on the Brewers you think aren't even starting on somebody else's team. When you think about it, you know what I mean? Like the best, like they have Christian Yelich, who wasn't Christian Yelich all year and is still in Christian.
Right. Well, they have Willie Adames, who turns out Willie Adames. We just didn't know.
Turns out he's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw him. I saw them talk to him on MLB Central, and he had said that he was one of those players, one of those hitters who could not deal with the roof in Tampa. He just couldn't, and some guys can and some guys can't, and he's one of the ones who couldn't. He admitted that. He said, "That's me." He said, I loved. He used air quotes. He said, "They told me I needed to make adjustments."
Yeah.
He actually used air quotes on air. I loved it. Make adjustments. But he said he couldn't. It wasn't the right place for him. And he gets to Milwaukee and he's set, man. We find out who Willie Adames is.
Yes.
Definitely an all-star. I think.
Literally the case of changing scenery changed everything.
Yeah, changed everything because it was literal scenery. Sometimes we talk about change of scenery as a metaphor for getting out of town, but Adames did something like literally like a different roof over his head and and a different player altogether. So I didn't understand why they got Rowdy Tellez, and I still can't figure that out, but it seems to have been effective.
Well, Rowdy Tellez is like that dude. Is like, man, you're gonna play on a team, and you're gonna be really welcome there. Yeah. But you have to know that nobody had your name at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, that's
like nobody was thinking, we're Rowdy Tellez away.
Nobody was saying that. You're right.
No one was like, we need a Rowdy Tellez.
And yet they wouldn't got him. And
every team needs one. Every team needs a Rowdy Tellez, I would imagine. But no one says, man, that's all. That's the one piece.
Well, I don't know, because I don't know who you can't help but think about the World Series at this point. That's what it's all about. Everybody's looking at how to get there. And so you're thinking, who do you want to get there? Because I know I'm going to get there. I don't have to play in. I just turn the TV on. I'm set, right? So who do I want to see there? On the National League side, I would be so pleased with either the Dodgers or the Brewers. I would be such a happy person watching either of those teams. So those are kind of my not my picks so much as my wish list.
A Brewers White Sox World Series is that's an I-94 World Series here. That would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be, but no. So that brings us to the White Sox question of the week: is will they make it? Can they make it? What's going on?
I think they can. I think they can, and I will still stand by that. I think this team could have been this good without Tony La Russa. However, I don't think this team could have been this good without Ethan Katz.
Okay.
That pitching coach saved everything.
Yeah, I am going to dispute you just mildly on the La Russa thing. And it's just because I don't know. It's Edgar Renteria, right? Or was he the?
Oh, Ricky Renteria, the former.
Ricky Renteria. Edgar was the San Francisco Giants shortstop that won the World Series. Okay, sorry. Yeah, Ricky Renteria. I don't know enough about him, but I was thinking about La Russa yesterday because I had the game on and guys were talking about it. Steve Stone and Jason Benetti. I love listening to those guys. Steve Stone's he knows so much. So I'm learning, and they're talking about how La Russa is leaving a closer in. Okay, I don't remember his name, but he's the one that's got the really tight, sort of goldish ponytail that just barely hooks over the back of his.
So there's Liam Hendricks and Craig Kimbrell.
No, neither of those guys. So he would have been a relief guy, a relief pitcher.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Sorry, I called him a closer. He was a reliever.
Yeah, a reliever.
And it wasn't Aaron Bummer. It was another guy that with like a little.
Okay.
And I can't remember his name. But they were talking about La Russa leaving him in for 2 innings. I think it was 2 innings because he wasn't struggling. I think he struck out 5 of 7 batters he faced. But when he's actually pitching, you don't know that he's about to do that. So you're wondering what he's doing in the game, right? And Steve Stone had said that he thought La Russa was leaving him in so that he could find out for himself, standing there on the mound throwing pitches, that he could do this, because he didn't know that yet. He needed to find that out.
Sure.
And now Ricky Renteria could certainly do that. That's not manager genius. Anybody knows that, right? But and I'm just thinking from the perspective of a fan, but the White Sox, numbers wise, are losing ground. You kind of watch their winning percentage steadily drop,
right,
day in and day out. You watch their run differential just kind of level out, game to game to game, and
it's been a rough, like, let's say, last 2 or 3 weeks for the White Sox.
It really has. And you watch Lance Lynn go down. You're not seeing Tim Anderson on the field. You're starting to think, you know what? If we don't establish ourselves right now as a really good team, nobody's going to worry about it when they face us in a playoff. And we need to show them right now that we have it. And it seems to me that La Russa is kind of the cream rising to the top at this point, because he's been around so long that he doesn't even look at that, is not playing panicked baseball. He's like, yeah, we're down to 548, win percentage, but that's not what I'm thinking about today. What I'm thinking about today is proving to this young player that he can pitch 2 innings of relief.
Because we've still got 20 games left.
Yeah. And to La Russa, 20 games is like this massive pressure. And I've got all the time to play with, whereas any other manager, especially a younger one who hasn't been through it several times, or maybe thinking, there might just be an in there, not a big not a scream not a fan style but just a little bit of an in there that La Russa, I think, just does not have. He's just old enough and experienced enough, and he understands 20 games as a chunk of time differently than the rest of us do. And that, I think, is probably, just thinking about it yesterday. I don't know enough about Renteria to say it for sure, and so I can't say by comparison Renteria would have been just as good as La Russa, but I can say with real certainty that La Russa has this, and it's impressive to watch.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to say for Renteria, because Renteria's track record so far is he manages the team right up to the playoffs, and then gets fired, and then the next manager comes along and wins the World Series.
Yeah.
So, like,
I know it's not fair. It's really, really not fair, and and I would like to see him get a chance. And I'd like to say, La Russa's had more than one chance, and that's the weight of experience, right? Because he's had more than one chance, and he's taken it all the way more than one time. So he's so proven, which I think is what the players respond to in him. What they know is that he's got experience, and they trust that experience, and then otherwise they're going to play the game. But I know as a fan, I'm worried. I don't like seeing Tim Anderson in the dugout instead of on the field.
I think that if you had to see this, if you had to see players like kind of hit this part of this bump in the road, let's say, I'd rather see it with 20 games to go, because the 10-day DL stat still gives you 10 days to lead yourself back up to the playoffs.
That's right.
In a 20 game stretch, right? So players who are hurting now, right, are resting now, rehabbing now, and will still have a week and a half to really get it together again, right, before we're at actual playoff baseball. So I wouldn't want this to happen with 7 games left.
No.
Right? Because it's happened before that people have lost, 7 games in a row and then went on to have a good playoff run, a win World Series. But that wouldn't be optimal. And I think it's also a credit to the White Sox front office, because this is literally the reason why you went out and got Craig Kimbrell.
That's right.
Because you wanted a situation in which, if your players are breaking down, if guys are wearing down in September, late August and September, having guys there who are fresh, right, who can give you that breather, right? Having Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert hurt at the beginning of the year, but both coming back in August, leading into September, is a benefit to you. Right. When guys like Tim Anderson are sitting.
That's right.
When you have when Lance Lynn and Dallas Keuchel aren't at their best, right? When Dallas Keuchel for sure has to do some soul searching right about now before Jake Arrieta himself, right? When that's happening, having Carlos Rodon and guys build confidence in their abilities, right? Means that 20 games out from the end of the season, your other guys can come back and step into their roles, and you can probably be fine.
Yeah.
You know, you won't be A+ dominant, but you might be B+ might get you past your first game. You know, your first round, let's say, right?
So you're not bothered about Lance Lynn going down?
I wasn't entirely sure Lance Lynn was going to be this good when he got it.
Oh, okay.
Right? I didn't think, like, when they signed Lance Lynn, I thought it was like, I might have thought Lance Lynn was a little overrated, right? But I honestly believe Lance Lynn, he played to what they needed him to play to.
Right.
Right?
Better.
Like,
he played better.
Yeah, I don't know how long Lance Lynn is injured.
Yeah.
That might be a factor.
I think they need Lance Lynn to go deep.
If it's Lance Lynn on the 10-day DL and Lance Lynn comes back, yeah, I think we're okay.
Okay. I don't remember what
he's pitching today, it looks like.
Activated today? Is he pitching today? Okay.
Pitching today, I think.
I'm gonna watch that. I have the Rays Tigers on right now, and they had they finished the 9th inning tied. They come back with the zombie runner rule, and Tampa Bay turns that into 2 runs. So then it's 7-5 Tampa. They go into the bottom of the 10th, and Jeimer Candelaria, hits a home run, 2-run homer, so they're still tied. And so I feel kind of like I'm in on this game. I got to watch it. I sort of.
It's good. That's a good game.
Yeah.
Giolito, it's Giolito who's hurt.
Oh, it's Giolito who's hurt.
Giolito's on a 10-day deal.
Okay, so Lance Lynn was, and then he came back, and now Giolito is, and he'll be back.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Oh, this is kind of interesting. This is just kind of like getting guys rested. Oh, owie, I'm hurt. Okay, just take a rest.
Yeah, and Tim Anderson is on this 10-day DL, but like 10-day DL with 20 games left. Okay, I can live with that.
Yeah, but he's been on the 10-day deal for like a month or something, it feels like. I mean, I don't know, like maybe I'm just really missing him, but it seems to me like he's been gone for a long time. I guess I just miss him. So my wish list, my AL wish list is White Sox-Rays, because I genuinely don't know who would win. That's my AL wish list. Yeah,
I think that in the AL Championship Series, White Sox-Rays would be fantastic.
It would be fantastic, yeah. And I don't mind who wins. I cheered for both.
Totally agree.
It's hard all season, and I wouldn't mind who wins. And I genuinely don't know. So I think it would. I hope it would go 7 games. Yep. I think Dodgers-Brewers would go 7 games. I really do. I think anybody Giants would go 7 games.
Yeah.
So, So NLCS and ALCS wish lists are hereby posted. And however we get there, it's going to be pretty damn cool, because this has just been a really fun season. And This month is turning out to be an absolute ball. I'm just having a ball. I love baseball. So that's that. What do you think? Are we through our list?
I think we're through our list. Yeah.
We're through our list.
Lisa the fan, you have sat through a good one here.
You indeed you have, and it's going to be audio only, and that's because it's something that I did, and but you don't necessarily need to sit and look at us anyway. You're probably doing other things while you're listening, so that's okay, and that's okay, and yeah, wow, okay, so after today we got 19 games left.
Absolutely.
Let's rock and roll. Let's
when next we record, we'll be going right into the playoffs.
We will be
intense.
Zooming in there, yeah, and we will be able to debrief all that has happened. Right. So
absolutely.
So all right. So in the meantime, just because it's beautiful and it's September and there's great baseball, turn into the love.
Turn into the love, everybody.
Turn into the love, everybody. And Terry, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you later, Beth.
Okay. Be good. Be well. Be careful.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.